It is July 11th, 2021. Wembley Stadium is suffocating under the weight of 67,000 screaming fans. Millions more are watching around the globe. The European Championship final has come down to a brutal psychological lottery, a penalty shootout. Marcus Rashford steps up to the ball. He is one of the most mechanically gifted athletes on earth. He has converted his last 10 consecutive penalties under normal conditions, taking an average of 5.7 seconds to begin his run-up once the whistle blows. But tonight is different. The referee blows his whistle. Rashford waits and waits. The silence stretches to an agonizing, unnatural length. By the time his boots hit the grass to begin his movement, exactly 11 seconds have passed. It is the longest recorded pause by any male player in 5 decades of international tournament history. He misses. At first glance, this looks like a classic failure of overthinking, a young star paralyzed by the moment. But if you look closer at the data, Rashford wasn't just fighting the goalkeeper. He was fighting a hidden evolutionary flaw wired directly into the human brain. For 2 decades, Norwegian sports psychologist Dr. Geir Jordet has obsessively tracked the exact microseconds between a referee's whistle and a player's strike. His findings exposed a terrifying statistic. Players who rush their shots responding to the whistle in under 200 milliseconds score a disastrous 57% of the time. Meanwhile, players who wait even just 1 deliberate second before moving convert at over 80%. The math is unyielding. The longer the pause, the better the outcome. Yet historically, some of the world's most experienced teams have sprinted toward their doom. Take England's historic penalty record. Across decades of tournament heartbreak, English players had a median response time of just 0.28 seconds, essentially hitting the ball the moment the whistle left the referee's lips. Why would elite athletes, operating at the peak of human capability, intentionally rush a shot that could define their legacy? Dr. Jordet calls it hurry behavior. It is a psychological flight response. When human beings face catastrophic, isolating pressure, the brain enters a panic loop. It interprets cognitive discomfort as physical danger. The urge to kick the ball instantly isn't an athletic decision. It is a desperate, subconscious attempt to escape the agonizing weight of the pressure by getting the situation over with as fast as humanly possible. To understand why hurry behavior destroys performance, we have to look at the chemistry under the skull. The moment you step onto the pitch for a high-stakes kick, your sympathetic nervous system explodes. Your adrenal glands flood your bloodstream with a toxic cocktail of cortisol and adrenaline. Deep within your temporal lobes sits the amygdala, your brain's ancient threat detection center. Once activated, the amygdala initiates an emotional hijack. It actively suppresses the prefrontal cortex, the seat of your working memory, executive function, and motor control. Cortisol alters your brain's dopamine balance, temporarily taking your sophisticated executive processing systems offline. This neurochemical chaos kills performance through 2 distinct vectors. The first is distraction theory. Your compromised brain redirects limited working memory away from the target and onto terrifying evaluations of consequence. What happens if I miss? What will the media say? The second is explicit monitoring theory, or what we commonly call overthinking. Penalty taking is a highly practiced, proceduralized motor skill. It should run on pure motor autopilot. But when cortisol paralyzes the system, the player panics and tries to consciously control their biomechanics. They suddenly revert to the state of a novice, manually thinking about their foot placement instead of letting their muscle memory execute. As anxiety peaks, your vision physically changes. Your attentional field tunnels. Anxious players stop looking at their target. Instead, their eyes scan reactively, locking onto the one thing they want to avoid: the goalkeeper. The world's absolute elite performers do something radically different. They don't give in to the urgency. They cultivate an intentional 5 to 12 second window of absolute stillness before their run-up. This isn't swagger. It isn't psychological theater designed to intimidate the keeper. It is a highly engineered, multi-step cortical reset sequence designed to reclaim top-down neurological control. They achieve this through 2 clinical-grade tools. Before striking, you will see a master penalty taker pause and drop their shoulders. They are executing what Stanford neuroscientists identify as the fastest real-time method for down-regulating acute stress, the physiological sigh. A rigorous, randomized, controlled trial at Stanford demonstrated that this specific pattern, a double nasal inhalation followed by an extended oral exhalation, outperforms traditional mindfulness meditation and box breathing in immediately reducing autonomic arousal. By forcing the exhalation to be longer than the inhalation, you stimulate the vagus nerve, the foundational highway of your parasympathetic nervous system. This vagal activation immediately slows your heart rate, halts the cortisol cascade, and forces your prefrontal cortex back online. Once the physiology is stabilized, the elite mind deploys its second weapon, quiet eye fixation. Pioneered by gaze researcher Dr. Joan Vickers, quiet eye is a highly specific neurovisual behavior where a performer maintains a single, unmoving visual fixation on a precise target location before execution begins. The difference between success and catastrophic failure is measured entirely in the duration of this gaze. Locking your gaze onto a singular coordinate does something remarkable at the neural level. It functions as an attentional anchor, completely anchoring prefrontal attention onto the task goal and overriding the amygdala's primitive impulse to scan the environment for threats. Clinical trials at the University of Exeter proved that quiet eye training allows the motor planning system to pre-program the physical trajectory of the movement in a state of calm. The results? Trained players experienced a profound increase in perceived control, resulting in 50% fewer shots being saved by the goalkeeper. Here is the uncomfortable truth. You are stepping up to the 12-yard penalty spot every single day. You are sitting at your desk, trying to lock into deep work, writing complex code, designing an application architecture, or parsing deep analytics. Suddenly, a notification sound cuts through the silence. An urgent Slack message from an executive, a high-priority bug report in your deployment pipeline, a critical defensive email. The moment that notification hits, your brain makes absolutely no biological distinction between a World Cup shootout and a corporate alert. Your sympathetic nervous system fires instantly. Cortisol spikes. Your amygdala lights up, screaming that you are under threat, and right on cue, you fall into the exact same trap as an amateur footballer. Hurry behavior. You feel a frantic physical discomfort, an intense cognitive pressure. To escape that discomfort, your brain demands that you act instantly. You break your focus, abandon your deep work, and instantly context switch to fire off a hurried, sloppy reply just to make the anxiety disappear. You think you are being productive. In reality, you are just fleeing from cognitive pressure, and the tax you pay for rushing is catastrophic. This invisible panic loop costs the global economy an estimated $450 billion every single year in fragmented attention and broken execution. You are running an endless series of rushed penalty kicks, hitting the ball in under 200 milliseconds, and wondering why your daily productivity is operating at a broken 57% success rate. To achieve elite execution as a deep worker, you must build an unyielding pre-shot routine at your keyboard. When the next high-pressure notification hits your screen, you do not react. You do not let the amygdala dictate your timeline. Instead, you implement the 8-second pause. You sit completely still. You execute a deliberate physiological sigh to force your nervous system out of fight or flight. You anchor your eyes using quiet eye fixation onto your primary task, ruthlessly filtering out peripheral distractions and allowing your prefrontal cortex to completely restabilize. You train your brain to resist the primitive urge to escape pressure. You step back into the state of the ultimate focus architect. If you are ready to stop reacting to the noise and discover your brain's true capacity for sustained, deep execution, you need to establish your baseline. Comment penalty down below, or head directly to nootropic.ai/quiz right now to take your free 2-minute focus baseline test. You will uncover your precise, personalized focus score, identify the unique blind spots in your neurochemistry, and receive a customized, data-backed optimization protocol tailored precisely to your cognitive load. Stop rushing the shot, master the pause, lock in.